think about your hat and the way it makes people feel because it incites fear in all those around us. Every person is afraid of that hat. I'm afraid of that hat. Keep America great. For so many people, that's racism.
Yeah, but that's because of the mainstream media's narrative that's painted Donald Trump as a racist. I don't agree with the narrative. I'm out here to try to share that that narrative is skewed.
As a human being, you should pay attention to fear and not logic.
Wait, you said pay attention to fear and not logic?
Yes.
I should have paid attention to emotions and not facts?
Yes.
Why would I pay attention to emotions when
that are real in this world?
Facts are facts?
Are facts. No, emotions are real. Emotions is one removed from spirit. I find that it is hard to trust others.
You shouldn't trust the mainstream media. You should start listening and looking into.
What media then do you suggest? That is saying, don't trust knowledge to operate in darkness.
No, go look up facts. Go look up actual statistics and facts. Look up Pew Research.
Emotion is real.
But emotions change, don't they?
So it turns out the MAGA hats are really triggering. That's good to know. Just look at the way CNN describes this. The reptile brain these platforms trigger doesn't engage in pro-social behaviours. Instead, it is an environment of weaponized memes, and isolated by social media, human beings become more entrenched in their positions and driven by a fear for their personal survival. CNN, maybe you should step away from Twitter for a while. All I'm saying is, I think you may have taken this a bit too far. Because don't doubt what you saw with your own eyes. That boy stood there and smirked with his fucking MAGA hat. How dare he? How dare he look like he didn't care about this guy's activism at all? This article is genuinely amazing, and I would definitely recommend you read it if you're bored, because this person just doubles down completely on the first clips of the video that went viral before the full thing emerged, and excoriating those people who are apologising, saying, okay, maybe we jumped the gun here. Maybe that man actually walked into the crowd of boys and was trying to walk through them, and the kid who stood there and did nothing. As for why so many people are willing not to trust their own eyes, while they readily accept the MAGA team's shitty and unconvincing publicist-created explanation that he didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't. I mean, you literally just can't point to anything that he did wrong. Why news organisations roll back reporting based on little new evidence? You mean loads of other angles of the footage which showed him doing nothing wrong, and showed Nathan Phillips walking up to the kids and not the other way around. Okay. Alright, and why so many people lashed themselves to the whipping post in the square and begged for forgiveness, which they really should, with a kind of journalistic miscarriage of this scope, don't you think? The answer is, I think, simple. These people are willing to give the screaming mob of white teens the benefit of the doubt. That's not exactly a fair characterization, is it? Because it distinguishes them from the emotion-driven hordes. Well, I guess it does. I suppose it does, but I guess you're happy to stay with the emotion-driven hordes, aren't you? It's something like virtue signalling, but instead of attempting to signal that they hold any type of moral or ethical principles, these people are attempting to show that they are willing to be chastened and are so thoughtful. I can admit I'm wrong. They say, you can always trust me. Well, dumbass! That is them espousing and showing and signalling their moral and ethical principles. They're saying, I'm not a zealot. I'm prepared to look at the evidence rationally and not force the evidence to fit my narrative. And you are saying, fuck you guys. It's immoral, it's unethical not to force the facts to fit the narrative. You are insane. You are like a religious zealot who just sees Satan under every rock. But the thing is, it's the MAGA hat itself, isn't it? That's what it is. The MAGA hat is still an object of hate. From GQ magazine. Oh, is it really? Is it really? Do you get to decide what an object of hate is for someone else, do you? I mean, listen to this. The hat alone is a symbol of hate. All of Trump's retrograde policies and dog whistle statements conveniently wrapped into a bit of red fabric. It's in your head, isn't it? It's not in someone else's head. It's in yours. Like, I might agree with a bunch of Trump's policies, so for me, it's not a symbol of hate, is it? But for you, who disagrees with them, and dog whistles, I'm afraid I only hear human words. I don't hear dog whistles. But frankly, MAGA hats are offensive, and there's nothing that they can do about it. They are just going to be eternally triggered by the MAGA hats. And they just keep parroting a false narrative. On Friday, some kids wore these hats, went to an anti-abortion rally, and mocked a Native American man. The Native American man came up and intimidated a kid. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? People were offended, though. Don't give a damn. And that's what the hat symbolises, isn't it? The kids felt bad about it, maybe. Why the hell should they? They didn't do anything wrong, and I am glad that Nick Sandman didn't apologise. In hindsight, I wish we could have walked away and avoided the whole thing, said Nick Sandman, the student whose smirking face has become the image for this whole controversy. That was probably never a real option. Walking away and avoiding the whole thing became difficult the moment the kids decided to wear those damn hats. Because why was she wearing that goddamn sexy short skirt? Isn't it, Mr. Progressive Journalist? They had it coming. They knew, and they should have dressed differently, those stupid, bloody whores. The hats are tied up in the concept of triggering, a favoured trolling strategy among the so-called alt-right. Look, it's just not even the alt-right, dude. It's just everyone who thinks you're dicks. And there are a lot of people who think you're dicks. To trigger someone is to push their political buttons. Yes, it represents a rejection of your moral framework, because there seems to be something backwards and regressive about it. Something that's innately tyrannical, frankly. Wildly racist and sexist. And doesn't care who it hurts in order to achieve its goal. There's something really controlling and domineering and bureaucratic about it. Something about, like, you can categorize and classify the entire world and make it as perfect as you see it in your dreams. Did the MAGA hat kids think about what they were doing when they wore the hats? Did they wear them with a knowing intention to piss people off? Well, they're just kids, and kids are, let's be honest, pretty stupid, so the answer is probably no. They probably weren't thinking about much at all. Then why did you make a big deal out of it? If you knew the intention of these MAGA kids was probably just to be kids, then why did you make such a goddamn big deal about it? It's all in your heads, you lunatics. It's you. You are the ones who believe this. No one else believes it. The people wearing the hats don't believe it. They just believe that you're really authoritarian, totally annoying busybodies, and you won't piss off and just try and be a good person in your own life. You don't think that that's a possibility. Possibly because you're bad people? I mean, look at this. Red MAGA hats are the new white hoods. Let's take a stand. The MAGA hats are generally worn by Republicans. You know, not the people who created the KKK. You fucking lunatics. Trump's base are not opposed to people on the basis of their race. Just fundamentally. They're just not. The deplorables are not really all that deplorable. They're actually quite upstanding and moral people in most ways. The problem that you have with them is they just don't care that you're offended. And frankly, get over it, Snowflake. But the best of the triggered articles came from The Verge. What the Covington Catholic debate tells us about the internet today, Gamergate is everywhere. Of course it is. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. We got Trump in the White House, we got Brexit, we got Bolsonaro, and now we literally just own everything. Look at this. Yes, everything is Gamergate. In 2014, Carl Wagner wrote an essay about the lessons of Gamergate, and he says, there's a reason why in all the Gamergate rhetoric, you hear echoes of every other social war staged in the last 30 years. Overly politically correct, social justice warriors, media elite, gamers not a monolith, blah, blah. There is also a reason why much of the rhetoric amounts to a vigorous argument that being a gamer doesn't mean you're a sexist, racist and stupid, a claim no one is making. But there are people making much worse claims than that now, that all white people are racist, that all men are sexist, that all straight people are homophobic, etc, etc, etc. You can say no one is making that claim, but all you're really saying there is, I'm not making that claim. And okay, maybe you're not, but you're just a water carrier for people who are making that claim, so shut up and piss off. You see this kind of response in the conservative reaction to the Covington videos, which essentially says, these kids were just exercising their First Amendment rights, and the real issue here is the intolerant left and mainstream media have come to demonize them and chill their free speech rights. Yeah, that's what the video showed. Like, that's the evidence, summarized nicely, well done. What's your counterpoint? They have also complained that the Native American elder, Nathan Phillips, had walked towards the teens initially and had not been sought out by them, as some had first reported. Like I said, that's the factual evidence of what happened. This is the basic mechanic by which the Covington teens can get a sympathetic audience on the Today Show and a possible invitation to the White House. You mean by doing nothing wrong but being victimized by the media establishment? Right, okay, yeah, I guess that's the way. It doesn't seem illegitimate to me. It seems like you guys put them through hell. Just saying. If you're a news consumer, it's helpful to understand this playbook, as you can watch it play out during every major conflict. And as you're a news producer, it's helpful to understanding that so yourself don't get played. And all of this apparently is Gamergate, because what Gamergate really was is just a wholesale cultural rejection of intersectionality and the way that intersectional activists operate, the way they operate in their closed groups, the way they're quite happy to censor or ostracize any people who go against the established groupthink, the way that they are honestly just really preachy and annoying dicks. They accuse everyone of everything like they're a bunch of mind readers, etc., etc. And Gamergate is a much more sort of liberal reaction to that. And that's why Gamergate was mostly centre-left, with a good smatter of centre-right people thrown in. It was mostly people who were just like, look, you've just got to stop preaching at us because you aren't some kind of moral authority, and no one expects anyone writing for The Verge to be so. You guys are just really annoying hipsters that nobody particularly likes, and you're losing your jobs. So, deal with it.